Tom Cunningham from Hollyoaks voicing Pinocchio in an hour-long dramatization of the classic Carlo Collodi story of Pinocchio. Sounds pretty awesome indeed. Hello YouTube, Film Buff 06 here, coming your way with another very brief review because I clearly don't have a ridiculous lot of things to say about this one, you know, other than praise. This time it is a special radio review of the 2012 dramatisation of Carlo Collodi's classic fairy tale of the puppet who wishes to become a real boy, Pinocchio, which was originally broadcast on BBC Radio 4 as part of the Saturday drama section on the 15th of December 2012, was adapted for the radio by playwright Linda Marshall Griffiths and directed by Nadia Molinari, and it features the vocal talents of Tom Cunningham from Hollyoaks himself, Ellis Hollins as the titular character, Steve Evets, who, if you don't know him, he featured in Looking for Eric alongside the real-life footballer Eric Cantona. He voices Geppetto in this. Lee Ingleby, who portrayed Mole in a 2006 TV adaptation of The Wind in the Willows, alongside Mark Gatiss as Ratty, Matt Lucas as Toad, and the late great Bob Hoskins as Badger. He was Detective Sergeant John Bacchus alongside Martin Shaw in Inspector George Gently. He I think also contributed a voice to a Doctor Who Big Finish audio adventure alongside Paul McGann's Eighth Doctor. I believe it was called Terra Firma. And he's also best known to Harry Potter fans as Stan Shumpike, you know, the conductor of the night bus in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. He voices three characters in this, the fox, the coachman, and the cricket, respectively. William Ash, who was also in William Ash, who was in the Doctor Who episode. Who, if you don't know him, he was in the Doctor Who episode 42 alongside David Tennant's 10th Doctor, and was also and he's also best known for his role as Chris Mead in Waterloo Road. He voices the Cat, Hawker, and Giangio. Lyndsey Marshal, who featured in Hereafter alongside Matt Damon, as well as the 2012 Titanic miniseries alongside the likes of Toby Jones, Linus Roach, Celia Imrie, and a certain Jenna Coleman as she voices the Blue Fairy. Tom Rolinson from the 4 O'Clock Club as Candlewick, and character actor Jonathan Keeble as a puppeteer, a policeman, and an auctioneer. Now, when it came to how she wanted to adapt the story as a modern day, radio production, Linda Marshall Griffiths took, partial inspiration from Spike Jonze's feature-length adaptation of Maurice Sendak's Where the Wild Things Are, as well as another retelling of the Pinocchio story, Steven Spielberg's AI Artificial Intelligence. I thought this radio dramatization of Pinocchio was very good, even though of course I do prefer the Disney animated film by default. Speaking of which, to those of you who are fans of the Disney animated film version of Pinocchio, if you find yourself tuning into this version, then be warned, because this version is just a completely different beast from the Disney cartoon. I mean, Geppetto is a reformed alcoholic. Pinocchio commits an act of insecticide on an irritating cricket who of course is nothing like Jiminy Cricket, of course, who doesn't even survive his first scene. Pinocchio almost gets arrested by a policeman. A puppeteer almost burns Pinocchio alive in order to make firewood. Pinocchio gets hanged almost to death on a tree, and spoiler alert, his best friend Candlewick ends up dying in donkey form at the end, almost immediately before Pinocchio realizes that he has finally become a real human boy. Pretty dark stuff, it has to be said, but then again, when you think about it, the original source material itself is pretty dark, and Linda Marshall Griffiths, I thought, adapted this story brilliantly for the radio. The acting, I thought, was very entertaining. I mean, every actor involved sounded like they had real fun with their roles. Steve Evets was good as Geppetto. The supporting cast, including William Ash and Lyndsey Marshal, all did a great job with their roles. Lee Ingleby did an exceptional job with the roles he was given, but my favourite performance of the bunch was from Ellis Hollins. Ellis frickin' Hollins as Pinocchio. I mean, in normal circumstances, it would prove extremely challenging for a child actor to lead the entire show on his own and get us, you know, emotionally invested in the journey of his character. And his performance could end up being either wooden, no pun intended by the way, bland, or just downright annoying. But luckily, I thought Ellis pulled this off brilliantly and really, you know, proved to us why he is one of, if not the most underrated child actor to come out of Hollyoaks, in my honest opinion. I mean, he just brought, you know, so much energy, you know, vulnerability and humour to the part so beautifully that I just couldn't help but, you know, feel reminded of the late great Dickie Jones, who of course voiced the character in the Disney cartoon. Of course voiced the character in the Disney cartoon. I mean, he was just brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. The sound design by Steve Brook is very impressive. Ollie Fox's score, while being admittedly a bit repetitive at times, it nonetheless blends in with the dark atmosphere of the story superbly. Also for a radio production that is only 60 minutes long, the pacing of this thing is just perfect. It doesn't drag, it doesn't bore you, it never feels rushed, and it just makes you feel excited the whole way through. Makes you excited the whole way through. Yeah. If you've never listened to this version of the classic Pinocchio story yet, it is currently available on audio download from iTunes at a price of £2.49, and I would highly recommend that you buy it and listen to it. I guarantee that you will be thoroughly entertained for an entire hour. My overall rating for the 2012 radio dramatization of Pinocchio, it's a 9 out of 10. Now, feel free to leave a comment in the section below and let me know your thoughts on this little known radio version of the Pinocchio story. And also, if you are a Hollyoaks fan, to all Hollyoaks fans out there, let me know what you thought of Ellis Hollins voicing Pinocchio. And also another thing, which version of Pinocchio do you prefer? Do you prefer the original story by Carlo Collodi? Do you prefer this radio version? Do you prefer the version with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, or do you even prefer the classic Disney cartoon? Plus, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And until my next video, which is going to be my for September 2014, followed as promised by a review of the most recent Who Addicts Reviews fan film, Whovians Reborn. Yes, James and Matthew, I know you've been dying. From a review for a review of this of your fan film from me. It will be up real soon. Until then, do take care, everyone, and goodbye.